That was something. Fire. Later that night, we camped a short distance away from the rest of the force.
おい、島田、雪村、話がある。こっちへ来い。
The main bulk of the Shinsengumi, as well as the Fury Corps, were headed to Aizu under Saito's command. That meant that the only people in camp were myself, Shimada, Hijikata, and about 10 other Shinsengumi.
お前たち、さっきあの歩兵奉行さんとやらが言ってたことを覚えてるか？
副長が先鋒軍の指揮を取るということですよね。
そうだ。で、お前たちの身の振り方だが、お前たちは先鋒軍に入れねえ。中軍、皇軍に編入させるつもりだ。
それはどういうことでしょう。副長が指揮するのは先鋒軍なのですよね。
お前は鳥羽伏見の戦を経験してるんだ。実戦経験のねえ部隊を指揮するにはもってこいの人選だろう。
しかし
Hijikata-san's reasoning made sense, of course. But as an outside observer, I felt like Shimada had grown attached to the idea of fighting in the same unit as Hijikata-san. Perhaps Hijikata-san was insensitive for either ignoring this sentiment or not acknowledging it at all. Shimada-san sighed heavily, resigning into a period of deep thought, but then he looked Hijikata-san in the eye.
わかりました。副長の命令であれば従います。ですけど、一つ確認させてください。新選組がなくなってしまうわけではありませんよね。俺は新選組の島田会としてこの戦に参加するつもりです。誠の大旗を掲げます。
Aww. Makoto flag. A kanji character used to mean integrity, which is used by the Shinsengumi as a symbol on their flag to define their core tenet.
それで構いませんよね。
Shimada and I felt the same way, it seemed. Hijikata-san's hope may be flickering, but ours wasn't.
好きにしろ。
Hijikata-san seemed so disengaged.
それからもう一つ、部隊の指揮は雪村君には荷が重すぎると思います。
Thanks, Shimada. But yes, technically.
どう考えても前線に出られるとは思えませんし、彼女は大使ではなく副長の小将という立場ですから。では、俺は他の大使たちに決定を伝えに行ってきます。
With that, he turned and jogged off towards the rest of the Shinsengumi soldiers. There. Hijikata and I were left alone. He sighed and his shoulders drooped. Suddenly, he looked very, very tired. Why did you try to order us away? He didn't answer. Instead, he tilted his head back to gaze up at the stars that speckled the night sky. The long, melancholy silence spoke volumes, but as I began to regret questioning his decision, he spoke up. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything at all. Was I putting pressure on his fragile emotional state, or was it a truth I needed him to answer?
近藤さんがいつ戻ってくるのかさえ分かりゃ死ぬ気で戦いもするさ。だが今度ばかりはどうなるか分からねえと来てやがる。俺たちは今まで二人で新選組を背負ってたんだ。俺一人で支えきれるわけねえだろ。
Hijikata-san was often rude or cruel when he spoke to me, but I never heard him sound so defeated before. And he had never talked that way about the Shinsengumi. His shoulders sagged. Oh my god. Although his voice sounded completely devoid of energy, he continued.
新八の言う通りだったよな。
My phone. Oh shit. I did it. We're fine now.
甲府城に行くって決まった時、あいつと原田が言ってたろう。かつ阿波の神が軍資金や大砲を気前よく出してくれるはずがねえ。何か裏があるんじゃねえかって。その通りだったよ。新政府軍に江戸城を明け渡すって決めたのは、その勝阿波の神だったらしい。
Huh. What? And that meant the battle in Kofu had been...
新政府と穏便に話を進めてえのに、俺たちみてえなのがいちゃ邪魔だから、手よく追っ払われたってことだ。
He gave a dry laugh and kicked despondently at a rock near his foot.
くそ！どうして気づかなかったんだよ。近藤さんに戦の指揮を取らせてやりてえ、戦場に立たせてやりてえって気持ちに目がくらんじまった。それが負け戦になっちまって、近藤さんのやる気をなくさせちゃ何の意味もねえじゃねえかよ。
I didn't know what to say, so I just listened. The Shinsengumi had put their lives on the line for the shogunate. The shogun should have come to their aid. Instead, the Shinsengumi was abandoned, and because of that, we lost Kondo-san.
おまけに必死こいて剣術の稽古して、ようやく刀をさせるようになったってのに、鉄砲相手じゃ手も足も出ねえときた。武士ってのは戦が専門じゃねえのか。俺たちが信じて追いかけてきたものって一体何だったんだ。その先に何かがあるって信じてたからこそ、きつい思いしてみっともなく歯食いしばって坂を登ってきたんだぜ。登った先に何もねえって分かっちまったら、これからどうすりゃいいんだよ。俺は何を信じて生きていきゃいいんだ。
With every word he spoke, I could feel his pain. It had been Hijikata-san and Kondo-san's partnership that had allowed the Shinsengumi to flourish. But the shogunate had betrayed them. War changed, and now he felt the world moving on without him. All that Hijikata-san had done was fading away, and the pain of that loss was destroying him. What could I say to help lessen that pain? I believe in you. I think you feel this way because you have lost what you believed in. But the men out there, the few that are left, I think what they believe in is you. They think that as long as you're there to lead them, they'll be fine, and they refuse to show fear in front of you. They want you to see the kind of men they are, which means they'll fight to the death if you tell them to. I didn't know what else I could say to make him feel better, but I wanted to soothe his wounded soul at least a little. As much as I could, I said what I felt. To be honest, I don't really know much about things like the reason the Shinsengumi exists, or what you should believe in. But if somebody asked me why I was here, I think I'd say that it's because I believe in you, Hijikata-san. So, maybe that had been the wrong thing to say. He was worried about what he believed in, not me. All I done was probably give him yet another thing to worry about. More pressure. Hijikata-san turned to look at me, but for once, the light in his eyes was soft.
見失っちまったものってのはてめえでもう一度見つけなきゃどうしようもねえよな。それに今はでかい戦が控えてる。あれこれ悩むくらいなら勝つことを考えねえとな。
With a small, crooked smile, he turned back to the stars. Perhaps my words had been a little too harsh. I fell silent again. The only sounds were nearby bugs chirping and fluttering in the night. I was worried saying anything would just make things worse.
お前本当にここにいるつもりか。
I knew he wanted to go alone, but I couldn't go with Shimada, and we both knew it. Hijikata-san's eyes thinned, and he pondered for a moment as I stared idly to the side. Yes, I am. Perhaps I didn't know how I could help him just yet, but I could hardly leave him alone.
俺の邪魔だけはするんじゃねえぞ。
I know. We stood there in the silence of the night. Just then, let's welcome round 3. He moaned suddenly and bent over in pain. Hijikata-san! In a matter of seconds, his hair began to turn white. Let's go over here. I led him to the shadow of a large tree where the nearby soldiers wouldn't be able to see him. You know exactly why. He spoke through gritted teeth, and as I watched, his breath became desperate gasps. Frustration fought with pain for dominance of his face as the bloodlust began to take hold. I decided to... I'll give him blood. Hijikata-san. I ran towards him, pulling at my collar to loosen it. He grasped my intent and grimaced. He took hold of me and pulled me roughly towards him. I felt a dull sting on the back of my neck, and then the hot trickle of blood. Then I felt his lips. The quiet sound of his drinking filled my ears in the silence of the night. His warm breath came in pants across the back of my neck, but after a time, I felt it began to steady. Slowly, his grip loosened. I could sense the pain leaving his body. Then, without a word, he pulled away from me.
お前は一体いつまでこんなことを許すつもりなんだ。
What? When he looked at me, I saw worry in his eyes. I smiled back. Forever. As long as you need me, I'll be here.
バカな女だな。てめえの進むべき道も見えてねえ。先のねえ男なのに。自分の身を傷つけてまで血を捧げるなんて何を考えてやがるんだ。
It's all right, really. I want to do this. There was nothing for him to say to that. We were on our way to Nico when the news came to us. Is this what I think it is? We were only a short distance away in a nearby forest.
まさか宇都宮を新政府軍に抑えられてしまうとは予想外だった。
Hijikata-san and Notori stopped to talk over their next move after the scouts had brought news of Utsunomiya's fall.
抑えられたって言っても単に錦の旗にビビって標準した口だろう。奴ら以上の力を見せつけてやりゃすぐこっちに尻尾振ってくるさ。節操のねえ連中だからな。新政府軍に寝返った奴らの城なんざ落としちまって構わねえだろう。歩兵奉行さんよ。
僕は別に戦うことに反対しているわけじゃない。ただ大山で戦っていた中軍皇軍はまだ合流しきれていない。彼らが追いつくまで待ってくれと言ってるんだ。
Oyama, an in-town located in Nikko Kaido. Currently, it is known as Oyama City in the Tochigi Prefecture. Any water? Woo. Alright, better.
城を落とすというのは戦略的に愚の愚とされている。今は
そりゃどこのありがてえ蒼天の孫引きだ。お得意の西洋法術か。
Drill manual, a guide that provides in-depth instructions on practical infantry procedures. Pamphlet, a printed work copied on parchment, serving as a form of mass disseminated text. What?
これは西洋だけの常識ではない。孫子の兵法にだって同じことが書かれている。
The Art of War, an ancient Chinese military treatise? Written by ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu.
城兵は棒を打ち、その次は甲を打ち、その次は兵を打ち、その下は城を攻む。つまりやむを得ない時を除いて城を攻めるというのは愚かだと説いているんだよ。愚を犯すのであればせめて自分を最良の状態にして確実な勝利を目指さなくては。
Hijikata-san cut Otori off and gave him a rebuttal.
兵は拙速を聞くも未だこれを巧みにして久しくするを見ざるなる。戦ってのは時間をかけてうまくやるより多少下手でも素早くやれってことだ。これも孫子の兵法に書かれてる言葉だぜ。
Damn.
土方君、話を混ぜっ返さないでくれ。中軍皇軍が我々に追いつくのに何十日もかかるわけじゃない。あと少しだけ待ってくれと。
のんびり後続部隊を待ってるうちに敵の援軍が来ちまったらどうするんだ。あの射程の長い化け物銃を持った薩長の連中がやってきやがったら勝てる見込みはなくなっちまうぜ。
それは
For the first time, Otori didn't have a rebuttal ready. Hijikata-san must have sensed that he struck a nerve, and he pushed ahead.
気を逃すくらいなら俺が先鋒軍だけで城を落としてやるさ。
それは危険だ。そんなのは戦争ではない。ただの自滅だ。
His voice rose in shock, but Hijikata-san just snorted derisively. He clearly had no intention of taking his opinion.
まあ黙って見てろよ。明日日が暮れるまでには宇都宮城を落としてやるさ。
His lips pulled back from his teeth in a feral grin, and he looked off towards Utsunomiya. He wasn't being belligerent. I think reckless was more of an accurate term. With Hijikata-san like this, could we really win? I couldn't wipe the fear in my heart.